Hello, and welcome to the channel. For this video, I'm headed down to Orlando, Florida to see what's left of a couple abandoned attractions on International Drive. So what do you say we go for a ride? So my first stop on my International Drive road trip today is here at Volcano Island mini golf course. I remember coming here to go mini golfing probably, I would say maybe 2 or 3 times. So I wasn't what you would call a regular, but it was a fun little course. And there's not a lot of information on this particular attraction on the internet. I looked. I couldn't figure out when they opened and when they closed. What I can tell you is this place has been standing and not operating way longer than it was ever open. Like I said, I don't remember when they opened, and I don't remember when it was built, but I'd say this one was probably only open maybe 5 years if it was lucky. It wasn't around very long, and what killed this place is even though it's in the center of International Drive here in Orlando, and it's a major hub, it's set back so far from the actual road. I think a lot of people were driving by and just flat out didn't see it, because there's a Dunkin' Donuts that's right here on International Drive frontage, and it's like 20 feet from the street, and Volcano Island's got to be probably like 150 feet set back, maybe 200 feet. The lack of visibility really doomed this place, and it's a shame too, because I really love the theming. I mean, all the dinosaurs and like the woolly mammoths and whatever else they had, plus the waterfalls and all the water areas. It was a very pretty golf course, and I do remember being quite fond of this particular course. I thought it was a great layout, but it never had a chance. The lack of visibility just killed this place. I think they just really miscalculated, because if you go to some of the other golf courses, they're right next to like a major hub like Icon Park or Point Orlando, and so they got a major like shopping center like next door. And not only that, but a lot of them have like a secondary attraction. It's not just mini golf. For example, the mini golf place right up the street has like live baby gators and all kinds of other touristy kind of gimmicks to bring you in. So it's not just the mini golf, and I think that's what killed this place too, besides the lousy location. Had Volcano Island opened with maybe some bumper boats in the water area and an arcade, it might have fared a little better. And back then, it was before there was a bunch of like internet promotions that would bring people in. Back then, it was harder for a smaller attraction like this to compete. Nowadays, with things like Groupon and TripAdvisor and those type of things, this place might have fared a little better. Who knows? I don't think this one will ever reopen. I doubt it. Just mostly because people see the lousy setback from International Drive, and they just think it's doomed. They're probably right. The one surprising part about this attraction for me is that the entrance is wide open. Normally, all that stuff is all gated up and boarded up, so you can't like get close. But you can actually walk into the entrance area across that bridge to, I guess, the entrance to the office area where you would pick up your clubs and your scorecard and everything. So it was actually kind of surprising that this place was wide open, because normally they do a lot more to board it up and not let you get close. I'm surprised that this one has sat untouched so long, because number one, the property taxes on International Drive are ridiculous, and number two, having a vacant piece of land is taxed a lot lower than having an attraction like this sitting on it. So I honestly don't know how they're making the bookkeeping work by keeping this place sitting like this, but they're probably paying a lot in taxes just because of the current state of this property. So the second attraction I'm checking out today is the Magical Midway, and I gotta tell you, I am downright shook at how quickly they tore this one down. Now, I did visit the Magical Midway quite a few times, and now I'm going to play some footage of the attraction back when it was still open. It was a fun little attraction. They had a Go Kart track, and supposedly the world's largest slingshot when it first opened. There was bumper boats and swing rides and those type of things. They had a really big arcade, And I think the signature of this particular attraction was the 3-level go kart track. And the track actually you would basically start out at ground level, and then you would drive up the 3 stories, and then the track itself would actually go over the roof of the arcade building and would come back. So it was a really cool attraction and very unique in that regard. I've never seen anyone build like an urban, family entertainment center with a go-kart track that actually goes up from, ground level up and over the building and come back down. So, I mean, I really liked this place, and like I said, I visited quite a bit, a lot more than Volcano Island, but I know the people that ran Magical Midway were leasing the land, and they just weren't making enough to I guess, keep up with the rent. And it did close off and on once or twice. I know they closed for COVID-19, and there was another spell where they had closed for, I think, a year and a half because of financial difficulties. So it's been an off and on attraction for the last probably 10, 15 years. I know it opened, in the early 2000s. Again, there's not a lot of documentation on like this particular attraction, so I'm just going by memory. I completely understand why Magical Midway failed. It's just an entirely redundant attraction to Fun Spot, which is like a couple blocks over from here. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Magical Midway had the better location, having frontage right here on International Drive, whereas Fun Spot is kind of like off, a couple blocks behind some timeshares and shopping centers. But Fun Spot had like 2, real roller coasters, and, they had something like 30 rides compared to Magical Midway, which maybe had, I think, a half dozen. Just the scale of Fun Spot having like multiple go-kart tracks and everything else, and Magical Midway just kind of living off the one. It just wasn't a fair comparison. Not only that, but Fun Spot even has like a mini Gatorland zoo area too, and there's just too much going on over at Fun Spot that nobody ever went to Magical Midway. I mean, that's basically what killed it, is 2 near identical types of attractions, and the one with the better rides just overpowered the little guy. Another thing I remember too when I was living in Orlando was I would see TV advertisements for Fun Spot constantly. They advertised the hell out of the park. 15 years I lived in the Orlando area, I don't think I ever saw an advertisement for Magical Midway. So they weren't promoting it, people weren't aware of it, and even though they were priced less than Fun Spot, they just weren't bringing in the customers that they needed to sustain the business. So the third defunct International Drive attraction I'm looking at today is Trainland. Now, out of the 3 attractions that I showed you today, this is the one that I think I missed the most, because it was a truly unique attraction here in Orlando. Central Florida didn't have a lot of like model train type of attractions. I think the only thing that it's left is basically there's a small outdoor train layout at Epcot, I think in Germany. And that's pretty much the only thing model trains related in Central Florida. So it's pretty thin. Back in the day, there used to be, I guess, competing attractions, because back when Cypress Gardens was open, they used to have Cypress Junction, which was a big HO model train layout, and that was a beautiful thing too, and that was included in the admission to Cypress Gardens. But Trainland was its own thing. I think it was like the only like model train museum ever in Central Florida, and they actually had a couple locations. I mean, I remember them. They used to be located up near the Belz Mall. I think that's where they first opened. That was, that was a long time ago. That was probably the early to mid 1990s. So I'm going back quite a ways. This location that now does the helicopter tours, this was the final location for Trainland, and it was one of the largest G-gauge model train railroads in the world. It actually, I think it was like 4 stories tall. Just incredible. I think they had 60 different trains running around the layout, and they had waterfalls and trolleys and all kinds of interesting stuff, very quirky things. And when you went into this attraction, they used to give you like this little scavenger hunt like map. You would try to find everything that's on your scavenger hunt, and when you turned it in at the exit, you would be entered in for like a free electric train set. And I used to love that. And, I don't know if anyone ever actually won the train set, but it was a fun thing to do. And If you were as crazy about model trains as I was as a kid, I used to spend hours in this place. But if you look at my vintage footage, I was like the only one in the building at the time. So I get it I guess it's just not a viable business model to keep these model train museums going. One of the cool other aspects of this particular attraction, and you can still see the rails in the asphalt. They used to have a little trolley, and at their original location, it was a trolley and like a little CP Huntington steam train that would take you around the parking lot. Like I said, you can still see remnants of the rails when you come in the entrance for the helicopter tours. The train rails are still there from the old trolley ride that used to go around the parking lot. And I remember this particular Trainland also had a really nice gift shop loaded with Lionel and LGB trains for sale. I always loved that stuff. There was a great store in Orlando called Colonial Photo and Hobby, and I think they're still in business. So even though Trainland is gone, if you're looking for your model train fix, there's that great store just south of Highway 50, and it's definitely worth a visit. Thanks for joining me on this road trip of defunct International Drive attractions. If you enjoyed this vlog of the Adventure Schmuck, don't forget to like and subscribe.